Today's episode is brought to you by Microsoft Dragon Copilot, your AI assistant for clinical documentation and workflow. To learn about how Dragon Copilot can transform the way you work, stick around after the episode or visit aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. That's aka.ms/knock-knock-hi.
Knock, knock. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glauc and Fleckens. I am Dr. Glauc and Flecken, Will Flannery here.
I am Lady Glauc and Flecken, Kristin Flannery.
Thank you for joining us. This is a very special episode. This is not today, but this week is the 5-year anniversary of my cardiac arrest.
That's right. May 11th of 2020.
That's right. I went to bed one night and then started gasping for breath.
Kind of.
It
was
loud snoring.
More of some snoring sound, yeah.
And Kristin realized something was wrong and called 911. They walked her through how to do CPR, and you did 10 consecutive minutes of chest compressions.
That's right.
So this is we're going to be talking a lot about this today because a lot of reflection, a lot of, what's changed in our life? What are we still struggling with, about this whole thing? It was obviously a big turning point. And if you want to hear the whole story, we're going to link to one of our prior episodes where we talked with one of the paramedics who responded that night to our house. We had him on our podcast, Lieutenant Gregg. And so you can, hear a lot more the details of the story. Today is more just looking back and looking forward.
5 years out.
And we're 5 years out. And so, I think it'd be helpful for people who have had something like this, a major medical event, who are, obviously still affected by it years later, because we're all still affected by it in one way or the other. So,
right. And you have somehow promised to still make it funny. So don't want to turn anyone away.
Well, we got a little bit, but I also, it's people I think will learn from this too. But before I want to do something before to talk about one thing. I have an interesting question for you. This is not related to the cardiac arrest, so we're going to do this first, and then we'll get into like the whole thing.
Okay.
There was a thread on Reddit that got passed around.
Do you call it a thread?
I think people probably do that. That got passed around on social media, on X in particular, on Twitter. I made a little joke about it, being like, "This is why I always will have content." To come, to use. So I'm going to pose this to you because I'm interested as a non-medical person who experiences the medical field mostly just as a patient. For the most part. But my point is, you don't practice medicine.
Correct.
So I'm going to present this to you, and I want to hear your sincere thoughts.
Okay.
So let's say you go to see an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
They do an MRI of your thoracic spine. They order an MRI.
Okay.
You have some kind of problem. Okay. The radiologist reads the study and finds an incidental aortic aneurysm.
Okay.
In addition to whatever bone stuff was going on. Who should tell you about this finding?
I mean, ideally, I would want a cardiologist to tell me about it. But I think in practice, how that might work is that
not manage it, just
tell me
who should call you to talk to you about.
Well, you're not going to see, this is why you shouldn't ask me questions, because I'm going to say, well, nowadays you get your results on my chart.
Let's assume you just have to hear from somebody. Your gut feeling, who do you feel like would call you?
My gut feeling was the radiologist.
Really?
Because he found it. Or she found it. So it would be like, hey, I was looking at your images. I
Mhm.
just thought you should know you have this incidental finding, and so I recommend that you follow up with a cardiologist.
Interesting. Because in reality, that's not what happens. So, and this like huge argument between lots of people on social media about this
Okay.
because this Reddit thread, which was the title of it is "Ortho Wants Radiologist to Manage All Incidental Findings,"
Mm.
and by manage, it's like you see something that's not bone
Something say
related,
something.
you call the patient, you make the referral for the patient to go to the doctor they need to go to.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, I'd say mostly the medical professionals, are like, no, that's not the way this works.
Mhm.
The person that orders the imaging study
Mm.
should be the one that manages that. Now, obviously, the
Mhm.
orthopedic surgeon is not going to treat, they're not going to
Right.
treat an aortic
But they're gonna
aneurysm,
send you over to
but
the cardiologist.
they should be the one to refer you to the doctor you need to see for that thing.
Okay.
Then
Can I
there,
tell you something as a patient?
what? You don't care?
I don't care who tells me. It's just somebody tell me. I don't care.
But
Doesn't make a difference to me.
But it's interesting in your mind, like thinking from the patient's perspective,
Mhm.
that you would just, oh yeah, the radiologist would call me.
Yeah, because if you see something, say something.
So it's just been kind of fascinating to hear what people think about this, and like
Yeah.
some people are like
Well,
kind of more on the ortho
I
side,
might be
and
a little colored my perspective because when you had one of your testicular cancer diagnoses, it
mm,
was from a radiologist.
mm,
Like, that's who diagnosed you,
that's true. That's true.
and I was there, and I saw that, so
Yep,
I don't know.
I
I don't know
remember
if
that
I'm
conversation.
completely, objective or impartial, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's what went through my mind, radiology.
and part of the issue is that the radiologists, they don't have all the clinical information.
Mm,
Like, they're told by let's say in this example, the orthopedic surgeon, that there's some kind of radiculopathy, like they're having some weakness in their arm. That's why they're getting the MRI.
mhm,
But that thing, that incidental finding, they have no context for.
mhm.
And so, should they be the one who's never seen the patient, who's never doesn't know any of your history other than what the orthopedic surgeon provided about the spine?
Mhm.
Should they be the one to tell you this information, not knowing anything about your history? Or should it be
They can't see your chart?
not all the times? That's as but that's not even that great, right? Ideally, it's someone who
But I
actually
mean, like,
knows
if this
you.
was an issue that you know that you have, it should be in your chart somewhere that you had to but an
But
aortic
then
aneurysm, isn't that an emergency? It sounds like an emergency.
not necessarily like an emergency thing. It can be something that can be managed as an outpatient,
Okay.
or maybe not an outpatient, but urgently, but not emergently, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, yeah, I mean, if the radiologist doesn't have all the information but does the orthopedic surgeon have all the information either? Does he know about your heart?
well, if he's planning on maybe surgery for you, like they should have a general sense of the medical issues you have, but also
Mm.
he's met you,
Mhm.
right? And so I'd say most people would say that, okay, you're ordering this study. Yeah, it had some kind of incidental finding,
Mhm.
but it's still your patient.
Yeah. I
And
mean, that makes
so
sense.
either let the patient know yourself, or call the primary care doctor or the cardiologist or whoever it is that's more managing like the general medical issues of that patient.
What I don't want is I have an urgent issue and 2 doctors are arguing about who needs to tell me.
Fair,
Let me tell you
fair
that.
enough. Fair enough. I can see both sides of it, but also I don't think it's really reasonable for a radiologist who's probably reading hundreds of studies a day,
Mhm.
to all of a sudden they see an incidental finding. Okay, they try to look up the clinical information on the patient and find, figure out, and figure out who they're going to refer that patient to, who might be in their
Mhm.
network, and just this. I just don't, in the workflow of things, that doesn't seem real reasonable. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. It's an interesting kind of
Yeah, well, I mean,
thought
as a
experiment,
patient, I don't know what the back end looks like, so,
right?
yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
those points
You
make
just want
sense.
you just want somebody.
And quickly.
Somebody to reach out and quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a
Speaking of aortas.
let's talk about hearts. Should we take a break and then dive into it?
Okay.
Let's do that. Hey, Kristin.
Yeah.
I've been, grossing you out about these Demodex mites, although I'm not sure why. They look like adorable.
Well, these are cute, but it's the real ones that kind of freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, but I have some new facts to share with you about
great.
Demodex.
All right.
These mites have likely lived with us for millions of years.
Oh.
Yeah. Does that make you feel better?
No.
Like they're passed down through close contact, especially between mothers and babies.
Oh, wow. Such a special gift for our daughters.
They're born, they live, they crawl around, and then they die on your eyelids and in your lash follicles. Their entire life cycle lasts about 2 to 3 weeks, all spent on your eyelids.
Well, thank you for
This isn't helping, is it?
No. How do I get rid of them?
Well, it's fun to gross you out, but we do have all of these. It's really common, but there is a prescription eye drop to help with these now.
Okay.
That probably excites you.
That makes me feel better.
Any way to get rid of them, right?
That's right.
All right.
Sign me up.
Visit Mites Love Lids to learn more about Demodex blepharitis, which is the disease that these little guys cause.
Sure.
Again, that's MITES Love Lids, LOVELIDS.com to learn more about Demodex and Demodex blepharitis and how you can get rid of it. All right, it's been 5 years.
Yep.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Is it okay to mention the 4-year curse at this point?
Sure.
That we're done with it. Like
Well,
we're
I
through
think
it.
you should tell the people about the 4-year curse.
So I mean,
It's a 3 to 4 year curse, actually.
I'm not generally a superstitious person, but I was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and then 4 years
3.
4 years later,
3.
it was 4.
3.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I've been saying 4 for like years.
Well, you've been wrong.
What are the years? What were they? 2011.
It was 2013,
2013.
2016.
Are you sure?
Yes, because of how old the children were.
Wow. Okay. Well, anyway, 3 to 4 years. So, first cancer, second cancer, cardiac arrest. All those things happened like within 3 to 4 years of each other.
Yeah. First cancer, 3 years go by. Second cancer, 4 years go by. Cardiac arrest. I guess by that logic, 5 years go by. So maybe we're not out of the woods.
Oh God.
It's not real. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna be worried this entire year.
No.
That something's gonna happen. Okay.
Well, if it does, you've got your little Shockum-fleckin in there to take care of it.
I do. I now. So 5 years later, I still have my implantable defibrillator here.
Mhm.
And I have 5-ish years to go until I have to get my battery replaced.
That's the first thing I think about when I hear it's been 5 years is,
Really?
oh no, we're halfway there.
Yeah.
Because I've been dreading that appointment since you got it.
Oh, me too.
So
Me
I'm not
too.
looking forward to that.
So that's coming up, but
And why are we dreading it?
because whenever they put a defibrillator in you, they have to check to make sure it works, which means they pace your heart rate to an unsustainable level to where your heart goes into ventricular fibrillation. And then they test to make sure that your defibrillator, the leads will recognize that and then fire to bring the heart back into normal rhythm. I mean, you're asleep during this whole thing, but it's terrifying because they kind of they kind of kill you in a way.
Yeah.
And
you
bring
know
you
that they're
back.
doing that going in. So yes, you are asleep
Yeah.
while it happens, but you do
You
have
got to be consented for that.
leading up to it, the
And then-
knowledge that this is happening.
And then when they do that, when they do the pacing, they do have like paddles on you, like backup, just in case the defibrillator doesn't fire. So
But still,
it
what if
sounds-
the paddles don't work?
What if nothing works? What if
What if they do too good a job of killing you?
So it was extremely scary. One of the scariest moments of my life in pre-op, listening to my anesthesiologist describe this to me. Not my anesthesiologist, that's the electrophysiologist described this to me. and explaining exactly how it was going to happen. So
Mhm.
I haven't had to think about it for a while. I still got a ways to go, but just knock on wood, this thing has not fired yet.
Yep.
So I have done well over the past 5 years. But let's talk a bit about. Here's one question: what would we have done differently, knowing what we know now, 5 years later, about just everything that came with me having a cardiac arrest? Is there anything you
Mhm.
would have done differently?
Is this a way to ask if I regret doing CPR?
Let's not explore that.
I did ask you that one time, though. I said, because I was wondering,
Yeah.
I said, are you at all, even a tiny little part of you, are you at all kind of not upset, but like, do you regret that I did that and we resuscitated you? And I think you were like, what? No.
I still feel like I was about to say exactly that.
Yeah.
What? No.
Well, because what I was thinking is, okay, obviously it's not ideal to die at 34 years old.
Yeah.
However, you did die in your sleep.
Mm,
So when the time comes, that's always how I have wanted to die, is just in my sleep.
yeah.
Maybe not suddenly, but like I don't want to
Yeah.
necessarily experience it, you know? So that is a nice, like, peaceful way to go. So that's why I asked. I mean, obviously, neither
Yeah.
one of us want you not to live past 34, but it was just
Sure.
from that
I get
angle.
that. I can tell you unequivocally, until this very moment, I have never
Yeah.
once thought about that. So, no, I'm very much glad. When I woke up in the hospital, I remember just how confused I felt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I still remember, like, really, like, bits and pieces of that first few hours after I woke up. Like, I don't remember the conversations I had with people, but I remember the things I saw in the room, like
Hmm.
little flashbulb
Mhm.
memories of certain things, like the TV in the room and
Mhm.
the the bed and the nurse, Roger, and
Mhm.
our FaceTime call. Like, I've kind of I don't know how soon after I woke up did we have
Yeah,
that
that
FaceTime?
wasn't right away.
That wasn't right away? Okay.
Well, if you're remembering Roger, if that's the
Yeah.
first nurse you remember, he was your last nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was like a day.
Or, I mean, you were
Almo
in the hospital until, let's see, it was a Monday morning that you arrested, and then you were home Thursday evening.
Oh, okay.
So if
Okay.
you're remembering Roger, you're probably remembering Wednesday
Thursday.
or Thursday.
Wow, okay. But they brought me out of sedation. It was like 24 hours
Yeah,
after.
Tuesday.
It
Mhm.
was Tuesday.
Mhm.
So I was awake on Tuesday. When did you first talk to me? Do you
I
remember?
first talked to you, I think, on Tuesday. I think I have part of that conversation. It occurred to me while we were having it. This is going to sound weird for people that don't know me, but it occurred to me to like record
Hmm.
some of that, like a screen recording or whatever on your phone. Um, and that's not as weird as it sounds. It's because I have always dealt with, like, you deal with things by humor, and I tend to deal with things by documenting.
Mhm.
So, because it lets you, like, process it at your own pace when you're ready and, remember little details you might have forgotten and process that. So, I recorded a little bit of that, um,
Hmm.
because, like, obviously, that was a very important, meaningful, impactful conversation that we have had, but also, like, just the way you were talking and the way your face looked, it was just, um,
Did I sound
different.
groggy? Did I sound like, was I talking?
I didn't get to talk to you. I guess we should point out this was May of 2020, so
Oh,
this was
yeah.
pre-vaccines, like, we didn't know if masks worked
It
or not.
was chaos.
So I was not
It was chaos.
allowed to be with you. So I was just waiting at home for, somebody to call and tell me something. And then you were in the hospital all by yourself. So I didn't get to see when you first came out of sedation
Mhm.
what you were doing. I heard that before they sedated you, like even on the way to the hospital in the ambulance, you were already trying to like pull out the cords and stuff. Like you were kind of
Hmm. Flailing
not
about.
enjoying your situation.
I was yeah.
And the same thing, they had to increase your sedation once they sedated you because you were kind of doing the same thing. So that's what I remember about that. And then the first conversation, you were just really, well, the first one that I had with you, you were really confused. You were in that loop, the
Yeah.
short-term amnesia loop. So you would ask a question, I would answer it, you would react. You would ask the question, I would answer it, you would react. It was a little bit like 50 First Dates.
Do you remember what I would like a question that I
Yeah, it was just, "What?" Basically. "What happened?" Because and rightly so, like, that's what I was thinking too. Like, how did this a perfectly
Uh,
healthy 34-year-old goes to
yeah.
bed and then dies in his sleep. What?
Yeah. Oh, man. And just, for people who aren't that familiar with the story, we still don't have a good explanation for why it
Right.
happened. Um,
Any explanation.
yeah, I got people at first thought it was, like, COVID related,
Yeah, can we just put that to bed? Like, it was
and it was not.
before any
It
of
was
that.
well, and I was tested
Yes, we were tested for COVID. We
so many
both were
times,
negative.
and so and if you ever hear us, because we do a lot of speaking, public speaking.
Yeah.
If you ever hear us, talk at a conference, please do not come up and ask
Was it the
me when
vaccine?
I got vaccinated,
Yeah.
because that is a question that pisses me off more than anything else, and so don't just leave that be.
First of all, just no.
We
Second of all, it was before the vaccines even
yeah,
existed.
we
Do
didn't
your math.
there was nothing, and so, anyway, I still have memory loss around the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't remember.
I don't remember a lot.
Well, like you said, you come online when Roger was your nurse. So
Yeah.
you've lost probably 3
Anything
days.
anything else you would have done differently?
um, I don't know about myself. There's a lot that I wish had happened differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know
I think you
that
did
I could have done anything.
I think you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
did.
think you did a pretty good job,
I'm good in a crisis. I
to
learned
say the
that.
least.
And then I learned, I don't know, 6 months ago that the reason I'm good in a crisis is because I have ADHD, and I did not know that. So good for that. Hooray.
I can tell you there's some things I probably would have done differently.
What's that?
I would have gone to bed that night, I would have gone to the hospital and made them preemptively admit me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that does actually bring, there is one thing I wish I had done differently, which is, okay, so your cardiac arrest was at 4:45.
Mhm.
At about 3:30, you had actually woken up and gone into the bathroom attached to our bedroom.
Mhm.
And I woke up just enough to be aware that you were in there. And then you were in there for a couple minutes, and then you went, it sounded like, I didn't have my eyes open, but just listening, it sounded like you went to the counter
Mhm.
and like maybe turned on the sink. But then you were like muttering something.
Hmm.
And I couldn't make out what it was. It sounded like you were not, again, upset is too strong, but like
Agitated?
agitated. Yes, thank you. You sounded, the tone was a little bit agitated, like annoyed maybe,
Like I
or
was
irritated.
speaking to my demons.
Well, what I thought at the time was, well, yeah, you just woke up at 3 a.m. and that sucks. And I know you, and
Yeah.
it sounded like you do when you're like, oh man, So that's what I thought happened. In retrospect, I really wish that I would have said, hey, what's going on? You know,
Yeah.
because I have always wondered, and I will never know, but I've always wondered if there was something happening beforehand
Yeah.
that we could have just gone to the hospital at that point.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It might be nothing,
Yeah.
but it might be related.
You do like to try to talk to me whenever
I do, yeah.
whenever I sleepwalk and sleep
Well,
talk.
but I don't think you were asleep. I think you were awake.
God, and I of course I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I always wonder, like, were you feeling something uncomfortable? And that's why you were just standing at the sink, just kind of muttering.
I didn't put on dress pants
No,
at
and
all,
you didn't get anything. I mean, when they came in,
which
of
I've done
course.
before in
That's
the middle of
true.
the night.
Yeah, that is true. No, you didn't do that. But they did ask, like, did he take anything?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think so. And like one funny part is I went into the bathroom
Yeah.
and looked around and I was like, no, I can tell you he didn't take anything because nothing's laying on the counter.
I would not have cleaned up after myself.
No, you would not have. And there were no signs that you got anything out. And so I was pretty confident saying, I really don't think so.
Let's see. I could have slept on the floor.
Yeah.
That would have been
easier.
More helpful for you doing the chest compressions if I was on the floor.
Yes. Yeah, that's a question we get. Why,
Yeah.
Why did you do it on the bed? And that was because there's a nightstand, obviously, to the side of the bed, and you are very large, and I am very small. But besides that, just 3 or 4 months before, I had a cervical disc replacement. And so I was in pretty good shape, but I was still healing from that surgery. And so I was like, I don't think that I can get him off the bed without, because I would just have to drag you. I don't think I can do it without hitting your head on that nightstand, just the way the angle was. And then I also don't think I can do that without hurting myself. And then where will we be?
Quick
then
question.
I will not be able to help you.
Quick question. Did the radiologist call you about your MRI of your neck?
Good question. I don't know. Don't remember. Probably not.
Here's one. Here's one. Unlocking the back door.
Yes. That would have been good. Would have saved us some structural damage.
We had our garage door. You gave them very astutely in the middle of chest compressions, gave them the code to our garage door.
Yes.
Which I still find fascinating that you're able
to even
ADHD. Like pull this stuff out of your
Thank
head.
you, ADHD.
But our door to our house was locked.
Yeah, and I gave him the garage code because sometimes we locked that door at night, but sometimes we didn't because
locked.
There was the big garage door on the other side of it. So, didn't worry about it a lot of the time. But it just so happened that it was locked that night, and I couldn't remember whether we had locked it or not. But we did.
Busted through.
And they had to bust through, and that also added some minutes.
Yeah.
They thought that it was going to be open. So
they had to go back and get something.
They were not prepared.
Yeah.
I think they had to call for backup for tools.
Oh, okay.
Like in the call, you can hear her say, their backup just arrived.
Oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
I've never known what that meant. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know what it meant at the time either. But
so
that is what you can hear me like, are they here? Are they here? And I could hear them. Our window was open. And so I could hear them outside.
Yeah.
So I was like, why aren't they coming in? Why aren't, what's going on? And it was because they couldn't get in the door and they had to get like tools and people had to bring the tools. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, let's take a break and come right back. Hey, Kristin.
Yeah.
If I could give one piece of advice to like brand new physicians or even like med students, early career folks, it would be to get yourself some life insurance.
Yes, that is the time to do it before you start having all sorts of health issues.
Like a cardiac arrest.
Or cancer.
Yeah, the cancer scares. It's just, you never know what can happen.
You don't.
Right? And so having that peace of mind, it's so helpful. And so let me tell you about Pearson Rabbits.
All right, tell me.
This is great. So this is a physician-focused, physician-founded company founded by Dr. Stephanie Pearson, a former OBGYN, and Scott Rabbits, who's an insurance expert. They understand the unique needs of physicians and can help physicians to go through this process of obtaining life insurance. They can tailor protection for your loved ones. It's just about giving that peace of mind for your family, right? So important. To find out more, go to www.pearsonravitz.com/knock-knock. Again, that's PearsonRavitz.com/knock-knock to get more information on life insurance for physicians. All right, we're back. Let's talk about, there's a question that I get asked sometimes, so I'll pose it to you. How do you feel like our life has been changed now, still 5 years later? Like, what's
How
the
has it not?
I mean, I guess it's mostly probably, like, mental health type of problems, issues.
Yeah, so I think what it's been changed in good ways and bad ways. Um, the bad ways are obvious. Yes, that's a hugely traumatic thing to happen. Something people don't talk about in the CPR conversations. Like, yes, we need to have more people learn CPR because it can be a very effective tool for saving lives. But what gets left out is that it is very traumatic to do CPR for a bystander, just a regular old person, and even for a healthcare person if it is on someone that you love. So I had both of those things going for me. It was extremely traumatic. Um, and I don't mean that like traumatic gets thrown around a lot these days. No, it was like clinically traumatic. Like I went into
Yeah.
a dissociation for a long time. PTSD type stuff happened, and just it was very difficult, and I think a lot of that is I am much better now, but I don't know if I will ever fully not
Mm.
be, somewhere in that
Do
space.
you have triggers?
I don't like watching people do CPR, so, like,
Like in shows and stuff?
well, shows are different, but, like, we speak at a lot of
Yeah.
CPR advocacy types of events. And often at those events, they will be training people to do CPR and they make it this big party with music and they bring
Mhm.
in like a fire truck with the lights and stuff. And it's just all of that is extremely triggering because there were lights. There, I was doing CPR. There was definitely not happy music, but I get why they do that because they want people to learn it. But
Yeah.
like for someone who has done it and is then there, it's Oh, it's a little bit I don't take
Cheap,
it
like,
personally because I know they don't mean it this
kinda
way, but it is
cheapens
a
the
little
whole
bit
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's insulting. It's like they are not thinking about how that will affect
Yeah.
people who've been traumatized by this thing. But I get it. Like that's the minority of people that are there and I get why they do it that way, but that's
Yeah.
definitely a trigger. And also when you like make a funny noise in your sleep.
So, yeah, you're still kinda,
Yeah, or even just snoring. I don't like snoring because it sounds just like it sounded when you were,
yeah.
doing the agonal breathing. So,
Do you
um,
still nudge, like, do you make me stop snoring?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll turn you over. You don't remember this when I do this? I do it almost every night. I turn you over. Um, yeah, because that's a very unsettling
Yeah.
sound
I get it.
for me. And then, I always was checking ever since we had babies, I check to make sure they're breathing every night because you get it's like so ingrained to you about SIDS, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, yeah,
So like
yeah.
I always just checked. And so
I know you don't like
I've
the
never
song.
stopped checking.
I know you don't like the song "Staying Alive" anymore.
Yeah, I don't that's a trigger because that is what I was thinking of as I was doing the compressions. Because I had learned 15 years before or whatever that that's the right tempo.
There's new songs now.
There are new songs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of them actually, like, American Heart Association does a good, job of, like, putting out the songs that have the right tempo, so you can pick one that suits you.
Well, I think it's amazing that you're the advocacy work that you specifically do.
Yeah, so that's one of the good ways
Just
I
be
think
I
that
mean,
our life has changed.
hearing contrasting, that with the trauma you experience every time you talk about it and
Yeah,
you go to, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, like, on my side of things, like, I didn't experience, like, all the
yeah,
I was sedated, right? I wasn't there.
right.
I
You have your own experience that was also traumatic,
Yeah,
but
and
it wasn't the acute event itself.
right. And, how was it like, on my side, that was what actually got me really interested in the healthcare system.
Yeah. That's where all
You know,
these healthcare insurance
I
videos
mean,
came from.
it's kinda yeah, I cringe a little bit because it's like the common trope of you don't really care about something until it happens to you. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that, but
Right. But it is
it's the case.
effective
It was the
when
case
things
for
happen
me,
to you.
right? We had health insurance issues as we were trying to, like, put our lives back together after this,
Mhm.
and then, I was on the phone every other day with Cigna trying to, like, get them to do what they were supposed to do,
Mhm.
and there's so much anger and frustration around that, the angry phone calls, eventually social media posts,
Mhm.
and that definitely gave me a different perspective, that a lot of my patients have, and so
Yeah.
that's what kicked off the whole healthcare system stuff,
That's
and
right.
then Jimothy grew out of that, so
Yeah.
Jimothy's the hero.
One thing I get a lot because I think a lot of it is because I'm a woman on the internet, but um I have talked about this concept of co-survivor. Like I co-survived that experience. Because it was very traumatic for me. It was a thing that I did and survived, right? The CPR especially, but also just the managing your care for you, like
Mhm.
trying to speak for you when you're not able to, keeping track of things, um,
Yeah,
giving updates to family and friends, just having to say it over and over and over again when I really needed support, but I was having to be the support to everybody else as I was telling them.
yeah.
Like lots of ways this happened to me. I also survived it. But what I hear a lot is, oh, just like a woman to take something that happened to a man and make it all about her. I have started screenshotting these comments when I get them, and someday I'm going to do a post where I just show all the things that these
Yeah.
people have said. And it's always, well, I won't say, you can guess who it always is. But but it does speak to an underlying question of like, and this is something that I think co-survivors feel is like, I shouldn't be feeling bad. I shouldn't ask for help because it didn't happen
To me,
to
to you, yeah.
me. It's like in my
Physically,
body.
yeah.
Yeah. Like you're the patient.
Right, right, right.
So we all should just focus on you, myself included. And I shouldn't need anything and I shouldn't feel bad because, however bad I feel, you have it worse, kind of is the
Mhm.
thinking. And so now when I talk about co-survivorship, I hear a lot like people want to make it this binary like a zero sum thing that like if I need support, that means that I am pulling it from you as the patient or the survivor. So, how do you look at that? I know how I look at that, but how do you look at that?
Yeah, that makes me angry, whenever I hear comments like that or I see them, and, because I don't exist in a vacuum. This didn't happen. These types of things have ripple effects.
Mhm.
And the joke I always say during our shows is, I went to bed one night and I woke up 2 days later and I didn't have any underwear on. I was like, had no idea what the hell was going on.
Right.
But like every single second between when I went to bed and when
Yeah.
I woke up was hell on earth for you.
Right.
And it's okay to recognize that.
Right.
It's not just okay, like we should be recognizing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got my own trauma that I
Right.
I don't like to talk about a lot,
Right.
um, and dealing with that, trying to in my own way. But that doesn't negate your trauma, or
Exactly.
you talking about your trauma doesn't take away from my trauma.
Right.
I just don't understand that, and I would like you to, I wish you could just ignore that, but I understand how painful that is to hear, and hopefully, well, the work you do though is important in just showing
Right, and
that.
that's why I screenshot them because one day
Right.
I want to point out that when co-survivors speak about their experience,
Yeah.
this is one of the reactions.
Yeah.
And so that makes it
I think it's
harder
important.
for us to speak out about our experience. And so I'm happy to do that on behalf of us all. Um, but I just do think it's important that it's not a zero-sum game. And the reason that I don't talk about, that I'm only talking about co-survivorship, I'm only talking about me, is because that was my experience. That is what I can speak to.
Right.
You have to speak to the survivor perspective. I do not have that perspective, so I'm not going to speak for you. And also, I know you don't want to speak about it. And so it wouldn't be my place to say anything that is your experience.
Yeah.
So that's an unfortunate little thing, but hopefully I can at least move the needle a little bit
I think you
in
are.
changing that.
I think you are. And it sucks that you're getting comments like that because, like, the comments I get are like, "Did you see a white light?
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, you get the vaccine comment.
Did you?" Well, yeah, that sucks. But it's like people want to know, like, what did you stick?
Well, now you have to answer. You brought it up.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I like I said, I went to bed and I woke up. I just wasn't in my bed anymore,
Right.
and I was wearing a gown.
I wish you could remember, what you must have thought at that time. I mean,
I kind of wish you had recorded our entire initial FaceTime conversation.
Yeah.
I would 5 years later. I would have loved to see that.
yeah. Well, I can show you the piece I have.
It's- I can imagine. I mean, because even like 2 weeks later, I called my best friend
Yeah.
and told him, and then like the next day, I called him again
Mhm.
and told him again, having never remembered that I told him.
Yeah, and he's like,
So,
"Yeah, you told me." And you're like, "I did?" I think that was unsettling for you to not be able to remember your life,
yes, that yeah. In the
even just
moment,
like the day before.
I didn't think that was very funny at first. Now I do, but
Yeah,
it was more scary. Like, man, what is going on here?
yeah,
And another thing I would have done differently. I would have taken more time off from work
yeah. Yep.
because I'm
You
like
people.
because I'm a you people guy as a doctor, and I just have to work. I gotta go back. I can't cardiac arrest. Can't take time off for that.
Exactly.
I took about a month.
Because you had to.
Yes,
You were not cleared to work.
but
You would have gone back sooner.
probably should have taken more.
Yeah.
Because and the biggest issue on it physically, I was able to do the job. It was fine.
Yes.
But, like, I was not there, like, mentally,
Right.
and it was hard as a physician. I now know exactly what empathy fatigue is
Mm.
because I had no empathy for
Yeah.
other people,
Right.
and that's a scary place to be in as a physician.
Yeah, you don't want someone operating on you that is
Like
in that place.
like, I would and it didn't last long, but when I first came back, it was like people would come in and tell me their issues about dry eye,
Mhm.
and all I would think was like, "Who cares?"
I just had a cardiac
Like,
arrest.
don't you realize what just happened to me, person that just met me 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's not rational thought, and that's not
Right.
how I think. That's not how you're trained to think as a physician, and so it kinda scared me.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, it didn't last very long, and I kind of, readjusted, how or I just got further out from the event. But that's probably one thing I should have done
Yeah,
differently.
so that's a sign. If you are
Little bit-
going back to work from something and you're feeling that way, maybe just go back home for a little longer.
Just take a little time, just watch, I don't know, watch some movies,
Yeah.
play some video games. I don't know.
I think it's telling too, talking about how, of course, you went back to work. The very first call that I made after the 911 call
Mhm.
was to your partner to
Yeah,
tell him that you would not be at work that day, so he had better reschedule your patients.
it's very thoughtful of you.
Because I knew that's what you would be freaked out about if
Oh,
you
God.
just didn't show up to work.
Yeah,
You would hate that.
yeah.
So I thought, well, I know this is what he would want me to do, so I'm going to do that first.
Did you get my partner on the phone, or did he?
I left a
he left a
message, but he
message?
called back later. Like we were speaking while you were in the hospital because he was kind of helping me understand. There were a few people that were helping me understand, all the terminology because again, I couldn't be there, so all I got were these
Yeah.
little updates every now and then.
Right.
And then I had to kind of dig into that. I just did everything I could to just write it all down,
Yeah.
and then I would have to go in and like figure out what it meant and what all those words were. Like, I remember I didn't realize people were using the word code. They said you coded when they were talking about it on Twitter later.
Yeah.
And, like, this was after you tweeted about it. And that was news to me at the time.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, like
I
what that
didn't realize that technically you had died. You know what I mean? I know that sounds weird, but, like, you just are not in a rational headspace in times like that. So, I knew your heart had stopped,
Yeah.
but
I guess it depends on your
they
definition of death.
exactly, yeah. So, you were able to be
Like I
resuscitated.
had no brain death,
Right.
but from a
A heart perspective.
yeah, practical sense, like I
Yeah.
was not
I
among the
even
living.
when they took you downstairs to the hardwood floor to work on you once they got there, and they hooked you up to stuff, and I heard a flatline, and I remember clocking that it's a flatline, and I know what a flatline is, but I still didn't put two and two. Like it just,
Yeah.
I was probably a defensive mechanism or
Yeah.
something that like it didn't. So it didn't occur to me until later that like, oh yeah, you died.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a weird thing.
What was it the day of discharge that I tweeted about it? That must have been
You were still in the hospital. Yeah, I don't think it was even the day of discharge. I think it was before that.
I don't remember.
And again, you were there all by yourself. You were probably very bored.
I was. I'm sure I was. But I was aware and enough to remember my password and
Yeah, I had deleted everything before I took your phone up there. That's another thing. I knew you would freaking want your phone so that you could get on Twitter because at the time, that's where you
Yeah.
spent all your social media time.
Yeah.
But before I brought it to you, I made sure to delete anything that like you could cause trouble with. So like banking apps, social media apps, email apps, anything like that. I deleted them off your phone. And then I thought, well, if you can manage to put that back on and log in and use it, then you're probably fine.
I love that. That's so funny. Well, that's about does it. You have anything else to add? I think we're doing just to sum it all up, I think we're doing well. And
Yeah, all things
and
considered.
the kids are doing well. We didn't talk about the
Yeah,
kids, but
right. We get that question a lot. I mean, look, they were definitely affected. Things
yeah,
have come up.
right.
The thing that I always try to point out, because it's just another one of these things you don't think about till you've been through it. They were 8 and 5 at the time, and the 8-year-old kind of sort of knew.
Mhm.
We told her that you were sick and you needed things that we didn't have that were at the hospital to get better, and so you went to the hospital. Um, she could understand all that. The 5-year-old was just kind of like, okay, and then just
What's
went
for
about
breakfast?
it. Yeah, that was literally her question. And so as she has gotten older, it has really sunk in for her. And I noticed that started at around 8 years old. So
Oh,
I think
yeah.
our oldest one was just the right age to be able to kind of process things in real time as they were
Severity of things,
happening.
yeah.
But the 5-year-old barely even remembers it and didn't really clock it at the time. She
Mm.
just remembers that a lot of people kept coming over and bringing us food and bringing them toys and like it was great, But as she got to about 8 years old and then now she's 10 and it's still continuing, she's doing her own processing
Yeah.
of it all and kind of understanding more about what it all meant. So it's not a one and done thing that like, oh yeah, we told them and they were fine and everything's fine. It's like an
Oh, it's a process,
ongoing
yeah.
as they develop and understand more. Yeah, it's an ongoing process.
Well, I think you're an amazing mom for being able to handle that.
Well, I had help. My parents came and took care of the kids while I was dealing. I could not. I
Yeah.
was not able. So don't give me too much credit. They were. I had to tell the kids. I did do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then I was mostly upstairs on the phone, on the internet, researching what all this meant.
Who was the second call? My parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your parents and no. Actually, it was my parents because I needed them to get up here.
Oh,
So they
yeah,
lived 40 minutes away at the time.
Yeah.
So they were close enough to be able to come help, but it was going to take them a while. And I wanted to get up to the hospital.
I'm amazed you got them on the phone.
Well, yeah, calling at 5 a.m. when I never do that, that'll cause some alarm.
That's right.
So they were here in like 20 minutes. Like they sped
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot. And then after I called my parents, I called your parents. And then I think I called my work to say that I wasn't coming in that day. So that's the order of events.
5 years. Here's to 5 more.
Yeah.
All right.
Hope more than 5.
Many more. 20, 30, 50? I don't know. I'll still be making skits when I'm 90?
Probably. You might be the only one left watching them, but
Yeah, that's just be me. And you liking them.
yeah.
Actually, by that
Good
point,
job,
you won't even like me. Just be like, all right, do your thing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for being with us during that recounting of the cardiac arrest in our lives since that moment. If you have any stories you want to share, you can. There's lots of ways to email us.
Also,
lots of ways to email us. Lots of ways to reach us.
There are actually a lot of ways to email us, but also if you have any questions about this stuff, like that is always interesting for us to know what questions people have, and then also we can
Absolutely
try to answer them for you.
You can email us knockknockhi@human-content.com. You can also reach out on our social media platforms. We're on all of them. Hang out with us and our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. Thanks to all the listeners leaving feedback and reviews. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube at Glauc and Fleckens, that's where you'll find all our episodes. We can give you a shout out. Like at Latent Discourse 4357 on YouTube said, how did the emergency physician already know Milo is a little blind? Maybe he should have been an ophthalmologist. That's right.
Good point.
Little continuity error on my part.
Whoopsies.
Full video episodes are up every week on our YouTube channel at Glauc and Fleckens. We also have a Patreon. Check that out. Lots of cool perks. Early ad-free episode access, interactive Q&A live stream events, lots more. Patreon.com/GlaukandFlecken or go to GlaukandFlecken.com. Speaking of Patreon community perks, let's shout out the Jonathans.
You always say
Patreon community perks.
Perps.
Perps?
Community
Patreon
perps.
community perps.
Do we have any perpetrators?
So we all perpetrators. We love our perpetrators. Shout out to the Jonathans, Patrick, Lucia C, Edward K, Marion W, Mr. Granddaddy, Caitlin C, Brianna L, MP Cole, Mary H, Keith G, Parker, Muhammad L, David H, Kaylee A, Gabe, Gary M, Eric B, Marlene S, Scott M, Kelsey M, Dr. Hoover, Sean M, Hawkeye MD, Bubbly Salt, and
Sean 80.
Patreon roulette time. Random shout out to some of the emergency medicine tier. Ashley K. Thank you for being a patron, and thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Kristin Flannery, also known as the Glauc and Fleckens. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristin Flannery, Aaron Cordy, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Editor, engineer. Those are two words hard to say back
Little
to
tongue
back.
twister.
Editor and engineer Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Ben-Zvi. To learn about Knock Knock Hi's program disclaimer, ethics policy, submission verification, and licensing terms, and those HIPAA release terms, go to GlaukandFlecken.com or reach out to us, knockknockhi@human-content.com with questions, concerns, or any fun medical puns. Knock Knock Hi is a Human Content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Kristin, are you good at multitasking?
I mean, as good as you can be. I don't think it's ever like super effective.
Yeah, and a lot of physicians are being asked to multitask
Yeah,
all the time.
it's true.
You're on the computer, you're typing away, you're looking at labs, you're trying to listen to the patient, you're doing all these things. That's just, it's not effective.
Yeah.
Well, it can help though, you know?
What?
Microsoft Dragon Copilot.
That can help.
Yes, absolutely. This is your AI assistant for workflow and documentation. It helps automate tasks. Right? You can summarize notes and evidence, prep your orders. It can draft referral letters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And with after visit summaries as well. You get an after visit summary.
I do. I always read them too.
Yeah.
I'm a very good student.
Microsoft Dragon Copilot can help you make that.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I wish I had one of these things for like my job.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice.
Running Glauc and Flecken.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to make it where you are presentable to the world.
Absolutely. To learn more about Microsoft Dragon Copilot, visit aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. That's aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Help you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.